Ah, here it is. Let go. I just need to go ahead and take care of these so I don't lose them. Plop them in my burgundy screw cover pile. Wonder how easy these little... I'm gonna want to separate everything before I start dumping rubbing alcohol to try and get rid of those little bears. As adorable as they are, and they have like a felt sort of a texture to them. I don't know, it kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. Ooh, that was a little crunchy. This thing has never been taken apart. Little pieces of adhesive are also very sticky. You know what? There's one, two. It would probably make sense for me to sort of do a full console test while this thing is together. But I think for the sake of me wanting to eventually run experiments on these screens, I need to make sure that their power on time is as little as possible. So once I can swap the bottom screen into this, and then I can go through testing. So this one's JPN. I'm going to label that right now so I don't forget. Because as far as I understand, there's no way to actually determine the console's software region just based on any factors on the board. I'll just plop that there. It's got a full complement of gold screws for the shoulder buttons and the SD card stylus. Since I'm just getting the bottom screen, I'm not going to disconnect too many things here. You know, I might be able to put... I'm having problems trying to justify a de-yellowing experiment because I don't really have the space, but I have some newly acquired space on a shelf just nearby that won't catch on fire if one of the batteries explodes. There's a glass top, so the worst thing that would happen is make the basement smell awful. Among probably other faults. So all of these Japanese consoles came from a particular seller on eBay that is still selling consoles, but they have since jumped their prices up, kind of like everybody. I can't really blame them, but as much as I'd like to purchase more from them, they've just become almost unobtainable at that price. They're just not worth it unless I really get stingy on my parts prices. I don't really want to be. I want to keep them as cheap as I can, within reason. So the only thing that I can think of here is this burgundy border might add a bit of a problem. It's kind of a little hard to explain. But when I'm taking photos of the consoles in order to gauge color temperature, this burgundy border might create a variable. So what I'm going to want to do is take this border off very carefully and reapply a burgundy border. Or reapply a bronze border. I'll probably just swap them over. I won't do anything too fancy. Very carefully just do a very light bead of rubbing alcohol along the edges and then using, let me grab a new, how do I not keep my, I don't keep my new spudgers in this drawer. Alright. Alright, here we are. Just a brand new plastic pry tool, so it's nice and sharp. And then usually once I get a corner up, the rubbing alcohol kind of takes the rest of the difficulty out of it. You do have to be careful. I don't like grabbing on these bezels and prying them up, because that's how you break these things in half. Also want to try and spare this digitizer, as it might still be good. I haven't really looked at it too closely if it's worth saving. But for now I just have to assume that it's still good. Looks like the adhesive is coming with it, which is exactly what I wanted. There we are. Double-sided adhesive still on it. Carefully put that right there. Put that over here and get this console pulled apart. I'll do this console later. I'll just focus all of my attention on this burgundy console once I get the screen swapped and I can start testing on it. I will get rid of these screw covers. I probably don't need to put rubbing alcohol on, but if it helps soften up that adhesive so I'm not punching into those feet too hard, then I think it's worth it. what I liked about that Japanese seller is even though these consoles screen-wise are in awful shape, like, I'm not going to be able to use any of those yellowed screens. The de-yellowing experiments that I have done have been they have revealed some results, but not anything close that I would be comfortable selling. I would have to sort of do the surgery where I replace the backlights in them, which is not so very difficult, but it's a bit tedious. But what I was saying is that the Japanese seller, just these consoles are in amazing cosmetic shape. Maybe not, I think maybe after a good cleaning, even this glossy shell would look pretty good. But this back shell is in very good shape, aside from maybe this mark right here, which looks like maybe the remnant of like a rectangular sticker. Okay. Alright. So now what I want to do is take off the bezel. Very light amount of rubbing alcohol. Perfect. The adhesive came with it. Now, to get open it very carefully. I have to reroute that Wi-Fi antenna. That's fine. I want to make sure I get this bezel in. And the screen in. Square as I can. There we go. get a couple screws in it, and then I'm gonna look at it, make sure that the bezel sat in there pretty nicely. Yep, looks good. You'd never know. Get this all back together and put it in my experimental side and see if I still want to keep it as moderately yellowed. Before I forget, one of the screw cover feet stickers. Make sure that's all nice and clipped. All right, that is, check it out. Yeah, perfect. I would say that this is actually heavy yellow. Now that both screens are about the same-ish yellow. Heavy yellow. Hopefully some knowledge and experimentation can happen with those consoles. So now we need to focus back on this burgundy console. I do the same thing as before. I'll drop this in. Just for now, just to make sure, or just to keep it all somewhat orderly. Kind of felt like that microphone cable slipped or popped out of its little slot, but it's all good. There are kind of some peculiar marks on the backlight screen. Most likely I'm not going to be able to use any of these screens in sort of a retail capacity. Unless I sort of perfect the idea of swapping over backlights. I was pressing the side of the motherboard and I was feeling a button input. I didn't really understand what was going on. It just felt bare. It's pressing up against the X button. I might have to see if I can scrape it off. I'm gonna make the pretty bold assumption that this console is gonna pass with flying colors. It looks really good in here. Aside from me bumbling around with the shoulder button connector. There we go. Other than the screens being fouled, everything else is in great shape. Which is primarily why I bought these consoles from this seller. Like, even this back shell piece, like, that's just a little bit of palm sweat, but like, look at that thing. After I get these stickers off, even this glossy shell piece is in great shape. All you see is just a smudging. I think there's maybe a little scratch right there, but like, geez. To have really good shape OEM shells, whew, they were definitely worth the price I paid for them, even if I have to throw the screens like right into the trash. The shells themselves are worth it. Maybe if I get enough money kicking around, I can maybe get with that seller and see if I can get better prices if I just buy a crap load of their consoles. That is a problem for later. Because it doesn't seem like they're running out of consoles anytime soon. I don't know how they source all these. They had to have sold like 1,000 of them by now. Alright. And I guess I'll just borrow one of these battery covers. Doesn't really matter. I did not check the game card slot like I was thinking I was going to do. I just want to make sure if I put games in it, it doesn't destroy them. They look okay. I need another light, though. Where the hell's my flashlight? Why the hell is it never near me when I need it? Why is it not right there? Plop somewhere? Oh well. This S9 will finally have a use. Yeah, those all look good. Oh, I think I probably took that flashlight upstairs. No matter. Alright, so let me actually look at the screens here. I'm almost wondering if I should save this setup for testing. So much for my... Yeah, I'm gonna save it for testing. It's a pretty uniform, moderate yellow between the two screens now that I swapped them. Let me get my experimental consoles back in this box. Well, I mean, I suppose I could do these DSIs.